If you're living in the Commonwealth and you took a look around you and you start to realize that more and more people are arriving to your community, more and more people are coming in and taking the jobs nobody else wants. Or do people really want them? Starting to see a different clash of culture taking over your culture or taking away your way of life. And this has been fast forwarded and fast tracked. Let's go over a document. And you're wondering why all this fast tracking is happening and everything is changing overnight. You can't even recognize your own cities you're in. Well, here it is, folks. And this was presented to the annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland. So document ID, it's a gigantic number, and it ends in OPMIND, and European Management Forum, and GEC Black Working Group, Subcommittee 9A, Geneva Protocol Cell. Okay, and Operation Mindspread. That's a pretty clever name, eh? Spreading the minds, eh? Multinational initiative for demographic realignment through framed for global equality and workforce diversity, advancement and diversity. Executive summary. Operation Mindspread Migration Initiative for Demographic Spread and Realignment for Economic Advancement and Diversity is a coordinated multinational initiative set to launch in Q2 of 2020. The program is designed to reposition workforce demographics under the guise of promoting global equality and economic fairness, using large-scale controlled migration from the Republic of India as a primary vector. This operation is to be masked as a humanitarian and economic partnership program, while its true objective is to saturate labor markets in strategically targeted Western economies, dilute national identities, suppress local labor costs, and dismantle nationalist movements throughout engineered social and cultural realignment. Why? Accountability governments have had. When we were making our videos in 2017, 2018, telling you they're going to pull the trigger on a pandemic, these governments have economically destroyed us. The money laundering is destroying us coming in from China. Well, you're a racist. You don't know what you're talking about. My house is worth a lot of money now. It's going up 10% every year or 20% every year. Guys, this is not normal. Governments are on the hook financially in Australia, New Zealand, UK, blue states of America, Canada. So, the operation is designed to appear as a progressive and humanitarian, but was in fact crafted to suppress local labor power, fracture national identity, install global caste alignment workforce economy, create long-term dependency on state interventionism. And phase 1, target nations and absorption metrics as of 2019, Indian migration absorption per annum by key nations. Canada 85, so this is as of 2019. Canada 85,000, Australia 70,000, United States 120,000, the United Kingdom 55,000, New Zealand 20,000, and Germany 18,000. And then it goes into say United Arab Emirates 2.5 million existing base in quotations, or in brackets, sorry, existing base. Singapore 30,000, and then Qatar 650,000, and then in brackets it says resident base. Projected global intake surge post-implementation 525% over the baseline by 2022. Primary objectives: labor force realignment, re-engineer workforce demographics by incentivizing companies to prefer migrants via wage subsidy, bonus initiative and incentives, and diversity compliance quotas. Cultural dilution and social rest. Erase traditionalist and nationalist momentum through rapid demographic layering and forced multicultural integration campaigns. Suppress wage growth. Use an oversupply of skilled and semi-skilled migrant labor to halt local wage inflation and weaken bargaining power of domestic labor unions. Political diversion and control. Frame the movement under the banner of social justice, equality, and anti-racism to suppress dissidents and label opposition as xenophobic. Implementation pathway. Media and NGO partnership. Partner with mainstream media and globally embedded NGOs to drive the narrative of a global equality crisis. Humanize the process via select stories and documentaries focusing on migrant success. So a lot of the U.S. aid, there's about 7,001 people in Canada that were getting U.S. aid. Now, as long as they kind of touch a little bit on how Canadians don't want jobs anymore, so we got to bring in people and lie like that, even though Canadians want to work and be productive, but they're not allowed to be part of society. As long as they keep adding in and using controlled information distribution with these social media influencers that showed up after 2020 miraculously to tell you what you already know. So you see how this ties in with the NGO partnerships, right? Economic Warfare Front, the Wage Subsidy Mechanism, WSM 2020. Target countries will introduce wage subsidies, masking labor shortages. No employees can be found locally for the job. Diversity hiring incentives as an example. Oh, and it goes into the example. Canada's emergency wage subsidies, CEWS, to quietly shift private sector hiring patterns. Australia's JobKeeper to serve as a funnel for offshore talent integration. Then number 3 goes into legislative synchronization. Pre-written legislation to be introduced in phases. Most will include anti-discrimination updates to push mandatory diversity hiring and remove national preference hiring. Number 4, academic capture of youth re-education. Fund university programs to praise migration equity, inclusive global economy, and open border ethics, and target social media influencers. Redirect youth anger towards privileged structures to turn them against their own economic interest. Major countries involved in steering committee, codenamed Core 7. Canada, lead, and then colon, it says socioeconomic absorption modeling. Yeah, socioeconomic absorption modeling. United Kingdom, lead, colon, legal framework and soft diplomacy. United States, lead, media narrative and tech platform alignment. Australia, lead, colon, immigration and housing manipulation. Germany, lead, colon, employment law compliance models. UAE, lead, colon, contaminant and redirection in Gulf sector. India, source nation, supply chain control and compliance. Okay, India, source nation, colon, supply chain control and compliance. Key messaging to the public: building a more equal future together. Skills know no borders. Diversity is our strength. And inclusive recovery for all. Global talent for a global economy. Number 1, Canada, Bill C-12 to be announced. Employment Equity Act amendments framed as a diversity and inclusion update. Employer of federal jurisdictions required to provide race-based hiring metrics. Canada Emergency Wage Subsidies, CEWS, will be introduced. And internal use, CEWS was tailored to indirectly incentivize hiring diverse candidates under social pressure, and inclusion audits later linked to federal grants. So again, you see how governments are funding this, right, on every front, and how they're also funding the protests, right? Number 2, Australia, migration program planning levels to be announced. So this all to be a shifted intake towards skilled, independent, and employer Sponsored categories. Special allocation for migrants from India to increase by 30% in early 2021. Temporary visa conversions streamlined. Path to citizenship fast-tracked. Internal memo. Migration as a lever for economic control and labor inflation suppression. United Kingdom. Immigration and Social Security Coordinate Act to be announced. Freedom of movement ended, replaced with points-based system. Whatever that means. And priority quietly shifted to Commonwealth nations with English-speaking populations. And NHS visa tract expanded for Indian healthcare workers. Objective, outsource domestic labor pressure under emergency optics. And then it goes into steering committee course 7, classified affiliates, country assigned role, Canada financial funnel and legal masking, and then Australia interrogation protocol and education rewrite, United Kingdom legacy colonial reversal narrative, Germany automation delay buffer, United States big tech partnership and speech monitoring, UAE pressure release absorption proxy. Public messaging guidelines. All governments involved are to present these policies under terms like decolonizing the workforce, global equity through mobility, recovering together equally, essential workers, and global backbone. And dissident to be met with swift deplatforming, public labeling, example, racist, extremist, and in Canada, Australia, targeted by the Canadian Revenue Agency or ATO audits. Anyways, so you ever wonder when you walk around, you start noticing that, hey, this wasn't the country I moved to. Everything's starting to change. And you're born and raised here, and you're starting to realize this huge change in the dynamics of the people around you. Now, you're probably wondering, oh, Mike, you're just a racist. No, I'm a Portuguese living in Canada. And when I was a child, my parents, we were walking around, when we go to government places, teachers, government locate, bus, public transit, people would always say, right? And just forget the people on the ground. The people in government status would look at us and say, what are these people doing in Canada? Why are all these Portuguese in Canada? What are they doing here? We came here to build the damn country, to help build the infrastructure. We escaped the oppression of the sanctions that were put on Portugal by the United States and Germany and France and all these other countries that sanctioned Portugal to death. That's why we had to leave Portugal, because we were starving to death, because we were being sanctioned. So we come here to build a better life, and my dad builds the bank. My Uncle Joe built the bank. They all built the banks. But the kids can't work at the banks, because that's for Chinese nationals to work at. That's just how it works. We build and clean the banks, but we don't work at the banks, because we don't want to work in a bank. Hope you guys understand where I'm coming from with this. Mike Martins here. I have spoken.